advances to the Final Four.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball Podcast.
Shout out to Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball, man.
Another Illini win. We are here to recap that. The Illini played yesterday against Minnesota, and they beat them by a final score of 77 to 67. All in all, another good win by the Illini. It's a Big Ten game. I got Noah laughing with the 6-7.
Don't do yeah, no. We're gonna have to
Are we
have a
anti
talk.
6-7 on this
We'll have a
podcast?
talk. We'll have a talk after this, but continue.
Okay, I'm gonna get a word from Noah about that after this one. Anyways, uh, with this Illini team, it's just looking like it's all business trips or home business meetings for them at this point because there are points in each game that we've talked about for the last few of them where it's like, they could have done this better. They probably could have done this better. But they're winning Big Ten games. This is 7 in a row for them now. If they win one more, they will have tied the longest streak of wins under Brad Underwood's tenure at Illinois as the head coach. This is typically the part of the season that we've talked about so often that they tend to have a letdown game too. So to continue to see them stack wins like this, I'm pretty impressed. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of how this game went, but just off the bat, I mean, you really can't argue with a team that's now, I think, 6-1 in Big Ten play. They're 15-3 on the season. They are going to have a tougher stretch of games coming up. So although their earlier Big Ten games were not the toughest in terms of teams they were playing, um, they are going to go through pretty much a gauntlet after the Maryland game that we'll recap or we'll preview on another day. Regardless, I don't have enough good things to say about there. I'm at a lack of words for good things to say about this Illinois team at this point because it's every night or every game where somebody else comes off the bench and impresses you. It's every game where a new starter is performing exceptionally well. And they all seem to buy into that too. None of them are like, give me the ball every night. It's not like we've got Andre on this team demanding he scores 18 or 20 a game. He looked pretty comfortable in a role where he only scored 4 points last night. Defensively, he had some letdowns. Brad was pretty pissed at him. They started the game at the 18:40 mark, calling a timeout after Minnesota went up 6-0. So it looked like it was going to be an ugly start. Like this Illini team might sleep through in another 11 a.m. game, but they turned it around quickly. Minnesota played predominantly zone for most of the game at least, which kind of threw the Illini offense off, but they managed to get through that. And another win that feels like something they can build off of because it wasn't perfect, but they'll have a lot of tape to watch at practice, after practice. It seems like there's a lot of building for moments from this game, but all in all, 10-point victory in a Big Ten game. You can't really argue with that. So Noah, I want to get your first thoughts initially before we go on to any players like independently or individually.
Yeah, great performance. I mean, another one of those trap games that you worry about, those 11 a.m. games. When they seem to be 11 a.m. home games, they're always a little bit scarier for some reason than an 11 a.m. road game. You'd think it'd be the other way around. At least with this Illinois team, that's the way it seems to be. But impressive win. I mean, you had guys shine that don't normally get to shine, like Big Z. And I thought that the fact that they did have such a bad performance in the first half and they were able to, recalibrate at halftime and adjust and come back out and perform really, really well in that second half. I mean, it just goes to show that this team's different than years previous. I mean, years previous, those teams would have melted, they would have collapsed, but this year's team seems to be a little bit different. And this was a perfect example of one of those games where they could have easily lost it and, wouldn't have been the end of the world, but they didn't. They went in there, they took care of business. Now, granted, they let that kid, Tyson kid, go off for a whole bunch, but that seems to be their strategy. Let one guy go off, and if he happens to have enough to beat you, so be it. But generally speaking, they don't. And Minnesota did not have that tonight or last night. But either way, I think Minnesota is a really good team, and they could win some games in the Big Ten for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give credit where credit's due. I think this Minnesota team is a lot better on paper or a lot better on the court than they are on paper. They've been dealing with two season-ending injuries to starters, and they've also had some role players go down with injuries. So they're really thin on the roster, yet they're still performing. At one point, the announcers for this game, I think it was Corey Provis, he said something like, if the Gophers knock off the Illini in this game, they're right on the bubble. Now, they didn't win the game, so I wouldn't give their bubble hope much like much credit right now. I don't think there's a lot to build on their resume, but they do have some ranked wins. Had they beaten the Illini, it would have been a way ranked win. And Nico Medved's really building a program there that I think kind of emulates what Brad did in his first year. You know, you got some good players, you got some talent on your team. You're not going to win a whole lot of games, but you need your guys to buy in. Their wins against Indiana and Iowa, and if they get a few more ranked wins this season, kind of remind me of when Illinois in freshman year Io beat like Michigan State towards the end of the year, and they won like five in a row to end the season before the Big Ten tournament. They didn't make the NCAA tournament that year, but I know Minnesota fans are keen to see what he has in store for the future, and I think he's got the program in the right direction at least. Now, another announcer little tidbit I want to bring up here because I was texting my friend Sawyer, who's a Minnesota fan, and it was about 2 minutes into the game where they had already made their first comment about how Minnesota and Illinois were the only two schools with or high major schools to recruit Keaton Wagler. Um, and they said it about four more times. What I didn't realize is Nico Medved wasn't the one recruiting Keaton Wagler to Minnesota. It was actually Ben Johnson, who was their, or not Ben Johnson, who was their last coach. Uh,
Um, Ben, I can't remember, but I will say they mentioned that 500 times every single game. So it doesn't
oh,
matter if they're
yeah.
playing Minnesota.
But the funny part to me is they were like, oh, Nico Medved and Keaton have such a great relationship because of his time. No, he did replace Ben Johnson. I thought I got Ben Johnson wrong because I was just thinking about the Bears game going on tonight. But no, their former coach was Ben Johnson, the basketball coach. He was recruiting Keaton Wagler to Minnesota. Or I'm sorry, Nico Medved was recruiting Keaton Wagler to Colorado State. So Colorado State was one of those non-high major offers he was getting. Nonetheless, they have a great relationship, and the announcers talked all game about how Nico Medved really thought he was going to get Keaton Wagler. And now I'm curious to see what Keaton Wagler would do at a program like Minnesota. I still think he would be their best player. I don't think he would be getting talked about as a lottery pick just because the talent around him isn't as good as the Illini supporting cast. Nonetheless, Keaton Wagler with another 17-point game last night. I don't think he had his best game by any means. In the second half, he definitely looked strong like he tends to do. But in the first half, he had a few turnovers. He had some plays where he went up for a layup and he was expecting a foul call and didn't get it. Arguably, some of them could have been fouls, I thought, but it wasn't his strongest performance on the season, but he still finds a way to lead the team in scoring besides Big Z. Kind of be the glue guy for this team outside of Kylan. And he just fills so many roles. I think we talked about it last time, but would you say he's better than freshman year Casparis at this point? I mean, the only year of freshman or the only year of Casparis, but
Yeah, I would say he is better. I'd say he's better than freshman year Will Riley. I mean, he's really, really impressive. He's honestly looks like he could be a top 10 pick. I know people are talking about it. Still have some Illinois fans who must not watch very much content online because they're like, well, maybe he can come back, please come back. He's not coming back. It's just not going to happen. Unfortunately, I would love for him to come back. But I just don't think it's in his best interest to come back, and I don't see why you would waste another year. I mean, sure, if he did come back, he could be first team All-American and all this stuff, but he could also find his way into a pretty good role on an NBA team next year as well. And I know that's obviously his end goal. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy to me that, relishes in the college moment. There's some of those guys where it's like, well, they could go pro, but, they love college and Keaton's just there to do business. He's there to get to the next level, play his best basketball, and really, I mean, it's the fact that he's not having the best shooting nights and he's still scoring 20 points. He's getting to the line and he's doing other stuff too. I mean, he's playing pretty well defensively for the most part, getting a couple steals here and there. So super, super impressed with his performance. And I did want to pull
oh
out
yeah,
the Chillinois podcast hat.
I
Now,
like it.
this is the official hat of Chillinois basketball, and I'm gonna wear it. Probably not for every episode, but I'm gonna try to wear it as best I can. Um, I did also want to shout out, obviously Big Z, but Tommy didn't have a terrible game. I thought Tommy's performance, he had a couple clutch threes, and I thought, he performed pretty solidly. I'm gonna take a look at his stat line here, but
He had 10 points. I think it was 7 rebounds, And then he did get it going from 3 point, or yeah, 10 points, 7 rebounds, and then he did get it going from 3 point range
Yeah, I
in
mean,
the second half.
50% from the three, that's not bad. I mean,
Not at all.
you do want to, and hey, shout out Petrovic, man. Petrovic got in the game. I'm pretty happy.
Petrovic, that was the next point I wanted to make. I think Petrovic, um, I know Brad in the locker room after pointed to Petro and was like, "We don't win this game without you." And then in the post-game conference, he talked about how Petro is one of those guys that he loves him and he's in the gym first and out of the gym last, and he's a real, just a ultimate teammate because he doesn't really have a role on this team yet. In the 7 minutes he comes in, he makes an impact. Now I think a lot of that was just fluff to kind of like make things sound better about Mihailo because he didn't have such a great run of games before this one. So when a coach has a player that does really well in a game and they've had a bad streak, of course they're gonna say everything in the world about them kindly. But nonetheless, I don't know if Petro won the Illini this game, but he was in a very important stretch of the game. He did come in and make an impact. Um, he missed a three-pointer on a step back that it was like halfway down. And had that gone in, I would have just gone berserk. But I wasn't off the Mihailo Petrovic hype train. I do think he has a role on this team, and I know I texted you about it. What's most impressive to me is just if we get another role player like that that can come in and play 7 or 8 minutes, he's the type of guy that can have a 6-0 run all on his own, whether it's assists or whether it's his own layups or his own three-pointers. Whenever you go on a 6-0 run or an 8-0 run in a basketball game at any point in time, I mean, it's a game of runs at least in college basketball. So if you can have a guy that can do that on his own, that only elevates this Illini team ceiling. And this is kind of a pull from a while ago, so I'm not sure if any of the listeners will understand this, but he gives me shades of David Moretti, who was what was that guy's name? His brother played at the Illini or played on the Illini for a
Yeah,
little bit.
not was it Nicolo Moretti?
Nicola Moretti, yes. His brother then transferred to, I think, Florida Atlantic or Florida International. Was on a Brad Underwood team for a little bit, shorter point guard. But his older brother, David or Davide, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. He was on that Texas Tech team with Terrence Shannon Jr. that made the Final Four. Um, and if you watched him play, it wasn't necessarily, I think he was their starting point guard. So obviously he got a lot more playing time than Petrovic currently does. But whenever he got in the game, it was like, oh, here's David Moretti. He's going to steal a ball and go on a 4-0 run or a 6-0 run by himself and just cause chaos. So if we can throw Petrovic in there, I don't think every game is going to necessarily need him, but I think this was an important role that he played in this game, especially given Minnesota was playing so much zone and it was kind of flustering the Illini's typical offense. So we threw Petro in there and we're like, here, man, create some havoc for 10 minutes, 7 minutes actually. And that's exactly what he did. He scored 4 points, 3 rebounds, no assists, but I think he had a pass to the corner that was nearly a corner three from someone. So I was impressed. I would argue he should play a little bit more, but I do think it's very situational with him. It has to be the right time and place if you're going to throw Petro in there. Otherwise, you're just asking for negative chaos, which could lead to turnovers and bad passes and runouts for the other team. So, nonetheless, I'm impressed. I think it just adds another layer to this team that, I mean, how do you stop teams usually game plan for two or three guys defensively. Now you look at the Illini roster and you have to game plan for 6 or 7 or 8 of them. And now if you put Petro in there, that's 9 of them. So it's just raising the ceiling, in my opinion. But do you have any
Yeah. I think going to the Big Z talk, everybody online is saying, oh, they need to start him. They need to start him. How's he not starting? He's playing well. Tommy's back in his rhythm. We've talked about it before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no reason that they need to start him because that could just totally psych Tommy out, get him in his own head, just like, oh man, I'm not good enough. And I don't even think that's what Big Z wants. I think Big Z's completely fine playing 20 minutes off the bench, however many minutes he needs to play. Some nights going to be more, some nights going to be less. If Tommy's playing well, Brad's going to keep Tommy in because he likes Tommy. I would like to see them both in at the same time. That was kind of the idea, the Twin Tower get going into the season, but they haven't really done too much of that. I would like to see it. I have a feeling if they both end up coming back, which I hope they do, I think they will. I think we'll see some more of it next year when they get a little bit more comfortable together. But man, you love to see the success and I just don't see why you would want to mess that up with starting Z unless the only argument being you start both of them, which then at that point, what are you going to do? I mean, put Merck at the three, maybe. I mean, geez Louise, talk about a big lineup. That I would like to actually see. I wouldn't mind that. Merck at the three, would it be Tommy at the four, Z at the five, and then
But I guess Andre could play the two. You'd have a 6'7" wing at that point then, if you want to give Keaton the ball as your point guard and have him at 6'6". That'd probably be the tallest lineup in college basketball this season. So
probably college basketball history. I mean, I don't know if there'd ever be a taller lineup than that, but that's yeah, that I like what I'm seeing from both of them at this point in the season, especially Z. So they're rolling. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah, if I had to give a game ball or MVP to anybody yesterday, it was certainly Zvonimir. 18 points, 9 rebounds, and then once again 3 blocks, which in 18 minutes is crazy. That's talking about a guy who is, if he's playing starters minutes, he's averaging 6 blocks a game, which is nuts in college basketball. I mean, all around, like we said, just kind of an incredible performance from everybody. The one bad side about this game, Ben Humrickhouse and Jake Davis, they got a combined 27 points or 27 minutes. I'm sorry. If they scored 27 points combined, we'd be talking about that a lot more. They were 0 for 5 from three. At this point, do you kind of just combine them and the sum of their aggregate is like that's you're getting Jake Humrickhouse or you're getting Ben Davis at this point. Funny enough, I have a great friend named Ben Davis, so he would laugh at that. But um, I mean, if you throw them in there and one of them goes 5 for 6 from three and the other one goes 1 for 5 for 3, then I mean, I don't mind having them in that role, and I don't think they mind playing that role either. Now, Ben Hummerhouse wasn't all world defensively yesterday like he usually is. Jake Davis played a little bit better defensively, but um, at this point, I think you can kind of just lump them together as Ben Davis or Jake Hummerhouse if you want, just because either one of them can get hot at any point in time, but it seems to be neither one of them as they're never hot at the same time, which is unfortunate.
I don't think you need them to both be hot at the same time. That's the great thing about this team is, as long as somebody's making threes, and it doesn't even have to be either one of them. I mean, it can be Z, it can be T. Every single player on this team can shoot the three. I mean, that's a rarity in college basketball that every single player. I mean, the worst three-point shooter on our team is Andrei Stojakovic. Think about that. That's crazy. So if he's your worst three-point shooter, you're perfectly fine. You don't need everybody to go off every night. I'm liking what I'm seeing defensively from Ben and Jake. I mean, Jake's walling up, he's stopping, layups, he's really pressing people tight with the defense, and Ben, he's diving for loose balls and, grabbing the offensive boards, and so I'm fine, I have no problem with it, especially their roles, they're not playing 25, 30 minutes like Ben was last year. So I don't think that either one of them have any problems right now. I mean, if anything, Jake is playing the best he's ever played. I mean, even, here and there he has an off game, but for the most part, he's having really, really solid performances offensively and most importantly defensively because you can't always rely on your offense, but you can always rely on your defense. So I'm not upset. I think they'll both find their rhythm, and those are going to be two guys that are crucial in March that could easily win you a game in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that sentiment there. Now, it's been a theme for the last 3 games, and one was called for the Illini this time in this game. Actually, I'm sorry. The Illini did not commit a hook and hold in this game. There was a review on Keaton Wagler at one point that I was absolutely sure was going to go Minnesota's way because I kind of thought it was a hook and hold just based on like the definition of the foul. Now, it's 3 games in a row where we've seen a hook and hold call. They asked Brad about it in the post-game press conference. Like, is this just something they've decided to like hone in on now, or what do you think it is, Noah? Because we've been seeing a lot of them. I don't necessarily love the calls. It benefited the Illini in this one, but they're getting a little wacky, especially given we went 18 games in the season without, or I'm sorry, we went like 15 games in the season without seeing a single one called.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's really frustrating because it's almost like the NCAA will meet with the refs every year and tell them like, okay, guys, we got to start focusing on this because it's been happening too much, and somebody got injured, and so now we got to really pay attention to it, and so now the refs feel obligated, like, oh, hook and hold, hook and hold. So I think maybe it's a little bit of that. It's unfortunate. I mean, you don't want to see the game stop, especially for these, because they don't always have to review them, and it takes 5 minutes, and then it's like, just let them play, man. It's like as long as nobody's getting hurt and as long as it's not super intentional, just let them play. I don't see the point in ruining the pace of play for some call that has never really been made in the past. And so, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is at this point. You try and train your players not to commit those fouls, I guess, going forward. But when you're not clear on the what the rule is, then how are you supposed to train your guys properly to not, commit those fouls? So maybe just some more transparency. I mean, but it is crazy. Every game they're calling it, and it's always Keaton involved for, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just Keaton being a freshman or something, but yeah, some of those calls are just like really, really weird. Like, just let them play, man. So
He he
I'm not
does
a fan.
he does have a knack to like or a tendency to kind of like hook arms with the opponent of the opponent's player when he does like box out. I'm not sure if that's something like he does naturally or he was coached that in high school or if it's even something the Illini staff is looking at. But if you watch some of his box out, he does tend to hook the other player's arm. I think the original intent of the call was to avoid players getting like dragged down by their arms because there was like a few instances a few years ago where players were dislocating shoulders because of it. Like you can really hurt somebody with malicious intent on a hook and hold. I just don't think there's much malicious intent on any of these. I think it's just guys battling. So I think the call needs to either just become a common foul again, or like if there's serious like malicious intent, then review it as a flagrant. But yeah, you're right about that. It's getting silly at this point because it's just a delay in every game and it's reviewable. So I don't know what to do about it, but nonetheless, I'd like to see it stop interfering with games at least. And in this one, we got lucky and it didn't necessarily negatively impact the Illini. Um, I know we kind of mentioned earlier, like I said, I want to give credit where credit's due with Minnesota. Not a whole lot to talk about with them. I just think this program is just injury depleted right now. Um, Jalen Crocker Johnson had a career game, which is not anything atypical of the Illini defense. They typically give up a career game to somebody random. So he had 22, went 5 for 12 from three. Uh, Cade Tyson, who is apparently their star, he was a Belmont player, and then he was a like top recruit in the portal or top transfer recruit in the portal 2 years ago when he went to North Carolina. Then really did nothing for them. Now he's making a role for himself at Minnesota. He played all right, but I think Kylan's defense on Cade Tyson all night was just impeccable. Holding Cade Tyson to 15 points when he averages 20, you can't argue with that. I think Kylan's defense is only stepping up, and it's opposing players do not want to be guarded by Kylan Boswell at this point. I would not want to be guarded by Kylan Boswell. He takes a lot of pride in defending the opponent's best player and kind of locking them down. And we're getting memes of like Kylan's Island now, which I like. It's kind of like Darrell Revis back in the day when he was snaking every interception for the Jets. Now we've got Kylan's Island, which I'm a fan of. Do you like that?
Yeah, Kylan, he gives Island vibes.
Oh yeah,
He gives Moana vibes, the Dwayne the Rock Johnson character. I'm
Maui.
very
Yeah,
yeah, he's great. I mean, his character, he's really bought into the program now. He's going to be one of those guys that, after he leaves and, hopefully goes to the NBA, he's going to be coming back and visiting and talking to the players. I could totally see him 5, 10 years from now coming back, talking to the players like, you guys got to believe in each other. It's all about, it's all about friendship and teamwork. But it's going to be interesting, especially because none of them are going to understand him. Because at that point, we'll be fully Balkan and they won't even speak English. They'll just only speak Serbian and whatnot. So it'll be interesting. But no, I love Kylan. I mean, I think he's champagne. He bleeds orange. He should have came to Illinois to begin with. It was kind of, I mean, maybe it was a good thing that he went to Arizona and learned those lessons and then came to Champaign. But he could have easily, I mean, if he would have came to Champaign when he was a freshman, he would be leading all records in Illinois history. So he's just the guy that the fans love him, teammates love him, coaches love him. He's a great all around guy. So can't say enough good things about Kylan Boswell.
I had that same thought yesterday during the game. Like, why didn't he commit to Illinois originally? It would have been his freshman season with like Terrence Shannon Jr. and Marcus Domask. So I'm not sure it was like the best situation. Or I'm sorry, his freshman year would have been like the Matthew Mayer season. Um, I guess we could have used a point guard at that time. Now, the reports on him coming out of high school was that he was a little bit like immature. He wasn't necessarily like the hardest worker in practice. So I think like the just the transformation of Kylan Boswell as a freshman at Arizona to where he's at now at Illinois, just like now he's an all team, like all he cares about is the team. All he cares about is like doing what's best for the team. It's just completely different. And I'm not sure. I'm not saying Brad Underwood wouldn't have coached him into that guy. I just think the path he took was the path he needed to take, and it got him to where he is now. So I'm kind of glad he didn't spend his first 2 years at Illinois as much as we could have used him. I think we're getting the best version of Kylan Boswell in the last 2 seasons. Now, I do think there's a case to be made that he's kind of playing himself into not like first round pick draft boards, but maybe like an undrafted free agent kind of guy signs a two-way deal and is able to work himself onto an NBA team. The only thing with Kylan is he's a little bit short. I think he's listed as like 6'3", but I would probably estimate he's more like 6'1" or 6'2". That's not terribly undersized for an NBA guard. But do you think, like, given his play, given the teammate that he is, given the hard worker that he is, do you think he can make an NBA team in the future? Now, you got to remember, it's not like he's a 22-year-old senior, because if he was a 22-year-old senior, teams would be probably knocking him down a little bit more. They like drafting youth. But reminder, he is only 20 years old, I believe. He's the youngest senior in college basketball because he did reclassify his senior year of high school, which is hilarious to me because you got Mihailo Petrovic, who's a 22-year-old sophomore, and then you got 20-year-old senior Kylan Boswell on this team. So I'm not sure how that all works out, but what do you think of Kylan's NBA draft prospects?
I think he could easily make the team. I think he could get drafted in the second round, no problem, just from the fact that he's an Illinois player. Teams like Illinois players, they pan out well pretty much every single time. I mean, even if you look at now, KJ's starting to pan out. Will Riley's certainly panning out. I mean, he had like 35 points in the G League the other night. So they like these guys. Brad has a good program. Tyler Underwood coaches NBA style games. So that's why when these guys go to the NBA, they're already kind of prepped. They're already ready because they've been in that system with Tyler Underwood. And so I think he'll easily make a team. I would be surprised if he doesn't get drafted, honestly. And I think he could work his way into an actual role on a team as well, not just something like, oh, I made it in the NBA, guys, and he's in the G League for a year or two and then never hear from him again. I think he could make his way into some defensive role, some kind of energy off the bench role, and I would love to see him on Chicago. I mean, I don't know what kind of picks we have this year, but late, mid to late second round pick easily, and it would be honestly a good selection too, because I think he's a good player and he brings, good energy and good mentality to the locker room as well.
Yeah, I certainly think. I don't know if he's on second round draft boards right now, but I just see him being a guy that works hard enough to eventually find a role on a team somewhere and then make a name for himself when he does get that opportunity because he's kind of the guy, type of guy that doesn't when he gets an opportunity, he's going to make the best of it. And he's certainly done that at Illinois. Now, before we wrap this one up, we will talk about the Maryland game in a separate video. We'll have a preview, like a full preview video for that one instead of having a two in one. Um, I do want to note that this team is 2-0 since Tony Billich joined the bench. I do also want to ask you, do you think they gave Tony Billich like more Illini clothing, or does he just really love that orange tracksuit they gave him because he's only worn that on the bench so far? And I'm skeptical as to whether or not he even like changed out of it between the Northwestern and the Minnesota game.
I think they all like those because they all are wearing them in every picture I'm seeing when they get on the planes. They're all wearing the orange jumpsuits. I think the European players are just like, these are so cool. I think they like that we're leaning into the Balkan thing. And, why wouldn't they? I mean, it's their home, it's their culture. So I think everybody's comfortable. And he looks good in the orange. I mean, I will say, we
He's not the
got a video.
handsomest guy, but
Well, no, he's not. He's not.
I'm
He's
not I'm
not.
not even sure he's 21. I think he's like 35,
You
but
don't want to put him next to Stojakovic because it's not even fair to the kid. But no, we got footage of him at the Northwestern game. It's in the vlog. He's standing there. He's in the huddle. He's engaged, and so yeah, I think it's good. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him because I mean, people are saying he's probably not going to be on the team next year, which I would imagine is the case. But I don't know. I mean, maybe he's really good. I mean, maybe he's like Merkovich. I mean, when Merkovich came in, nobody was really expecting him to be that good of a player. Petrovic, they were like way higher on Petrovic than Merkovich. And then Merkovich comes in and he starts cooking, and everyone's like, whoa, he's the real deal. He's legit. Who knows? Maybe Tony Billich is the real deal. We won't know because he's not playing. I imagine if he was really good, Brad would notice it and he'd be like, okay, we got to play this kid. Like, I don't know how it works. I mean, can he play? Like,
He
there's
is
got to be
eligible.
rules.
He is
So,
eligible, but Brad's keeping him out. I think it's just from what I talked about with Sahil, it's just like really a size thing for him. He's got height. He's just like not that heavy. I think they said he was like 240 pounds when they introduced him. I do not believe that at all. I mean, it's
no.
hard to not be that tall or not that heavy. Excuse me, it's
So,
hard to
so
not be
not.
that heavy when you're that tall, but like I think he needs a full off season of Fletch, and then he'll come out as like,
Well, my question is, if he's eligible midseason, if they can just pick him up midseason, he's able to play. Why is a team like Minnesota, who's injury prone, who's riddled with injury, three guys out with season-ending injuries, according to their coach, why are they not going to some European team going, hey, let us get a guy, they can figure something out. I mean, it's just
well,
weird that
they don't
I
have
don't know.
Mishko Raznatovich on their side. And
Yeah,
I
I guess
also, I'm
so.
not sure, like, I'm not sure it's directionally where every program wants to go. I don't think you could just take a random European player, put him on a team in Minnesota, and he'll fit right in, you know? I think it's kind of a
Minnesota's going to
culture thing.
struggle. If you got three guys out with season-ending injuries, Minnesota's going to be lucky if they win another two games in the Big Ten, honestly. I mean, you can't rely on Cade Tyson to get 40 minutes every night, and you're not going to get that kind of performance from Crocker Johnson, probably again for the rest of the season. So maybe they should dip their toe in the European waters and too many team, I you probably have a lot of these coaches like Izzo, some of these guys who are like looking at the what Brad's doing and they're like, "Oh, I don't agree with it. I don't want to do that." Dude, it's like AI. If your company's not getting on the AI train, you're gonna get left in the dust, man. You got to get on the European train. It is what it is. If it's unfortunate, then it's unfortunate. But it's an unfortunate train. You got to get on the tracks or you're gonna get derailed. It's like the NIL. It's NIL transfer portal. It's all the same thing. If you're not gonna lean into it, then you're gonna leave. I mean, that's why you think you've seen all these coaches hit the door because they don't want to keep up with this NIL stuff. It's too complicated. It's too many headaches. It's too many late nights trying to bribe players to come to your school. Oh, I'll give you this. I'll give you that. So you want to see, all these teams succeed, especially Big Ten teams. I want Big Ten, especially Minnesota. They got all this potential. They always talk about all these businesses in Minneapolis and these headquarters and they just have these weird, like the university itself does not want their athletic programs to succeed, is what it seems like, because their football team, booty cheeks, basketball team, booty cheeks. I mean, consistently year over year over year, never are they like a really good program. I mean, I couldn't even, when's the last time Minnesota basketball, have they ever been ranked top 10 in the program
I don't know about
history?
ranked. I do believe they were ranked at one point when they had, I think Tubby Smith was their coach, and it would have been like 2012 when their starting center was Trevor Mbakwe. They were pretty good when he was around. I don't know about top 10 ranked, but I do think they had some seasons where they were the top 25. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
just
agree with you.
frustrating. It's frustrating is all.
Yeah, no, they're consistently towards the bottom of the Big Ten, at least in basketball. But I do think Nico Medved has this program going in the right direction, at least. Um, no, and I think you're right. I think they could probably use some help from Europe. I'm not sure it's like I said, where every coach wants to go directionally. But I would much prefer to support the European players rather than watching guys come out of the NBA and go back to college. I don't know if you saw recently. We'll talk about it another time, maybe on a broader topic podcast episode. But Puff Johnson, former Penn State and former, I think, North Carolina player as well. Um, he played 5 seasons in college basketball and now he's back at Ohio State. So immediately eligible as well. We'll see if he plays at all. I know it's not been working for Baylor and James Najee. He's been kind of poor so far in his play, and people are wondering why anybody would take him 31st in the draft at this point. Nonetheless, that's a topic for another day of conversation. But um, we will have a minute, or excuse me, we will have a Maryland preview out by at least Tuesday, so you guys can get some information on Maryland. Then a big game against Purdue on the 24th, I believe. So we are getting into kind of the gauntlet of the Big Ten season for the Illini, who are now up to number 6 in Ken Palm, and we'll see where they fall in tomorrow's rankings. Nonetheless, they're really cruising and hitting a stride right now. It's been fun to watch, especially because we've got the Chicago Bears as well. When the Illini and the Bears are good, can't argue with that. I have some Indiana friends that actually think they've died and gone to heaven at this point because they've got Indiana in the college football playoff final tomorrow, and they've got Bears tonight in the divisional round. So we'll see if they survive this weekend. Um, I'll survive the weekend because the Illini got an 11 a.m. home win against Minnesota. So pretty good win for them. Go Bears tonight, and we'll see you on the preview episode in the next coming days. Also, shout out to Everett. We found out his name. Everett Vivian, if you're watching this episode, shout out to you for shouting us out at the Northwestern game. Noah did take it upon himself to make a game day experience vlog. So if you want to see that, that's on the channel as well. It was pretty well done. Just kind of give you guys an insight of what going to an Illini game is like if you've never been before. A lot of fun. So check out that video. Other than that, I don't have anything else to recap in this Minnesota game. So I'll leave it to you if you have any last thoughts, Noah.
No, it was a good win. I think that we should do something for the Purdue game coming up. We should do something big. I don't know what we would do, but just some
Maybe we should
special
do like a
video.
live, we should do like a live, you know how Barstool sometimes does like live recordings of them watching the game, like live reaction videos. Maybe we can hop
Yeah.
on YouTube live and like watch the game and like sit here and not commentate on it like we're Bill Raftery or something, but I don't know,
Yeah.
give our live takes.
I'm surprised ESPN hasn't reached out to us to do like a Peyton Eli kind of thing where we just sit on a couch and just talk shop for 2 hours and just yell at the TV. I mean, I would like to do that, but no, I think that Purdue game is going to be because is it in Purdue at Purdue rather?
Yeah. I was talking about going to it for a little bit because it's a Saturday 2 p.m. game. Tickets are like $280, so I don't think I'm going to be able to swing it, but it's not a terrible drive. It's closer than Bloomington, Indiana, so you can do it in a day if you really get after it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't
No, that
drink though because you'd have to drive home, but
right. And that's going to be a tough game. I mean, on the road against Purdue, but I would not want to bet against this Illinois team right now. We're just rolling. This Illinois team right now kind of reminds me of the Bears team right now. It's like you think about the matchups and you're like, I don't know, Illinois are probably not going to win this one. And then they win it. And then it's like, I don't know. You don't want to bet against them right now. So I wouldn't want to play Illinois. But I do think if we can get past this Maryland game and we can win that, dude, we're going to have so much momentum going into that Purdue game. It's going to be crazy. So you never know. Maybe we'll pull off the upset. I will be curious to see what that line is. If I had to guess ahead of time, I'd say it probably opens at like Purdue -6 or something like that. But I don't know. I guess we'll
pretty
see.
accurate.
But I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. It's a fun time to be an Illini fan. 7 straight victories. We'll have another game coming up on Wednesday night in Champaign at the State Farm Center. The students will officially be back for this one. I have confirmation they'll be back. Sahil told me they're back Tuesday. So hopefully it's a raucous State Farm Center environment. It was pretty loud on Saturday, so I got to give the fans that bought tickets in the student section credit because it was pretty loud. I think it'll be louder Wednesday night. Nonetheless, we'll have a recap of that game, hopefully recapping an Illini win. That'll be their 8th straight, ideally. But we'll have a video for the preview as well coming up too. So be on the lookout for that. ILL and go Bears.
I bear down.